Do you ever stare at your comic book long boxes and think, geez, I should probably sell some of those? Well, today, I'm not just thinking about it, I'm doing it. Hi everyone, and welcome to Still Only 35 Cents, your regular dose of vintage comics and collectibles. For this one, I took the leap and decided to sell some of my collection at a local comic and toy fair, and thought it would be a good opportunity to share my tips and tricks for how you can too. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the notification bell for future videos just like this one. We've all been there. You have a stack of extra or duplicate comic books, or you need to clear some space in your collection. Well, recently I faced this same dilemma and decided to sell some of my comic collection at the latest Marr-vell comic and toy fair held here in Melbourne, Australia. And I thought it would be a good idea to share my 3 steps for selling at an event like this: prep, presentation, and profit. Chapter 1. Prep. Selling at any event, you can't just dump a box of random comics on a table. You need to be organised and ready. Tip 1. Find an event. My advice is to find a suitable comic fair or similar event in your area, but start small. The Marr-vell Comic and Toy Fair is perfect for beginners, as it's very affordable at just $50 for a single table and $80 for a spot with 2 6-foot tables, which I opted for. Bigger comic book events usually cost a lot more, and whilst you might get more people at the event, as a beginner, you run the risk of losing money as you need to sell a lot of comic books to break even. Tip 2. Sorting. This one's key. Go through your books and find comics you're truly ready to part with. It helps if you have separate long boxes for your undercopies, duplicates, and unwanted items. I keep mine in a separate storage locker and move items there that I know I'm planning to sell in the future. To make it easier for customers to find books, I also arrange everything in alphabetical order. Tip 3. Grading. Make sure you grade your comics that you're looking to sell, especially the key comics and more expensive books. For higher grade comics, I use an orange coloured sticker to help me identify them. It doesn't have to be exact, just enough to give you a guide for our next tip. Tip 4. Pricing power. This is one of the most daunting tasks, especially if you're selling a large collection, but this step is crucial to make any event a success. I personally like using a tiered system to help me categorize books and speed up the process. High value keys. Research these against websites like Go Collect, Key Collector app, and most importantly, eBay sold sales. Remember, not the price listed for these, as they can be well above FMV. I tend to price my books competitively, around 10% below online prices, to help encourage quick sales. On bigger key books, I like to write dedicated prices and details of the book, along with an indicative grade. Mid-range books, $5, $10, and $20. Group these by character or series and clearly mark the price on the bag. Myself, I generally use colour-coded stickers with the set prices at $5, $10, and $20 and arrange them in separate bins for each price point. The $1 bin. If you have the inventory, having a $1 bin is vital for any stall. People love to dig through books to find a bargain, so I usually sprinkle in a couple of low-grade keys to make things even more exciting for anyone hunting through them. Tip 5. I'm bored. Make sure you bag and board everything, even the $1 books if you can. I find that a well-presented comic sells much better. You should certainly try and use mylar bags for bigger keys and the more expensive books, as it really improves the eye appeal. Tip 6. Bring small change and smaller notes to help customers pay. It's also important prior to the show that you make sure you have a few ways to accept digital payments, like PayPal, Square, PayID, and Venmo. You'd be surprised how often people are cashless these days. Tip 7. Make sure you organise your boxes so that you can organise quickly at the show, and where possible, label your boxes. The less time you spend setting up, the more time you spend selling, and it helps with Chapter 2. Presentation. So you finally make it to the show and it's time to get set up for success. Tip 1. First print. Get to the show as early as you can on the day of the event. Setting up your table is the most important part of the day, and in my experience, it always feels like a rush, and inevitably, you will run out of time. Tip 2. The eye appeal. People walk past quickly and you need to grab their attention. A few of your most stunning covers need to be visible from a distance, so showcase your key books on the wall or display shelves, or even just some empty short boxes to lift your best books up. I have some great display units that I managed to find at a local office store. I also use the front of the table to lay out some of the more interesting items with the short boxes at the rear of the table. As I mentioned earlier, it's a really good idea to have a $1 bin, as this drives people to your stand. I've also found having a $5, $10 and $20 bins alongside it creates a real digging frenzy. Doing this helps spread customers out across your tables. Tip 3. Be a person, not a wall book. It's important to interact with your customers. Stand up, smile, and look ready to talk. If someone picks up a book, talk to them. Even a simple "that's a great one, I love that run" can lead to the start of a sale. Chapter 3. Profit. This is where the presentation pays off and you start making sales. Tip 1. The negotiator. Be ready to haggle, but know your floor price, and if someone wants a bundle of books, give them a deal. I generally tend to give discounts if someone is buying a decent stack. Selling 5 books at a slight discount is better than selling one at full price. Tip 2. Price again. Sometimes it's hard to price everything prior to the show, so you may have to price books on the fly, especially if you missed pricing some in the prep phase. Be prepared to whip out your phone and price books using GoCollect, eBay Sold Sales and Key Collector. I always show the customer the FMVs in this instance, so they get a real sense of the prices realised. Tip 3. The midday push. So if sales slow down towards the end of the day, try a quick promotion. It creates some urgency and gets those hesitant buyers to commit. In the past, I've offered deals on certain bins like buy 4 comics and get 1 free. So, with that in mind, what did I sell? Well, there was some great books I was able to find a new home for. It wasn't all selling though, as my wife was helping me out, so I did manage to get a chance to look around the other booths on the day as well. As always, I did manage to find some books for my own collection, and one particularly interesting moment was towards the end of the day when one of the customers asked if I bought comics. They immediately took out 4 graded books that they were looking to sell, and I made an offer on 2 and we agreed a price. So with that in mind, let's take a look at what I managed to pick up. So first off the mark is this copy of Kirby, King of Comics. It's by Marr-vell, who famously worked as Kirby's assistant back in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's a fantastic book that I already have sealed, but found this for 15 Australian dollars on a stand. A little bit worse for wear, but this will be my reader copy, and it's got some great content inside all about the legacy and history of Jack the King Kirby. An introduction by Neil Gaiman, and then beautifully written by Marr-vell with some fabulous images from the history of Jack Kirby and the comic books that he was involved in. Absolutely great little book. And I thought a nice one to pick up. Just absolutely fabulous stuff. A must for any Jack Kirby fan all the way into the Marvel age and beyond. What a great book. Also picked this up, this John Byrne and George Perez issue 600 of Action Comics 80-page special. Got this from Mitch at Elevate 3D Designs. He had this for $8. Couldn't turn it down. Featuring Superman's romance with Wonder Woman, Superman's stalemate with Lex Luthor, Superman pals Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, Superman's conflict with Man-Bat, and commemorating Superman's golden anniversary, 50 years from 1938 to 1988, with a host of work by Anderson, Beatty, Giordano, Maguire, Mignola, Ordway, Rude, Schaffenberger, Simonson, Stern, Swan, and Zek. What a collection of creators. Let's have a quick look inside. There's some beautiful breakdowns from John Byrne, finishing by George Perez. What a combination. Fabulous stuff. Bit of dark side there. Great work. Just look at that. Very happy to have picked that up. I think at a bargain at just $8 with a whole host of additional materials. Dick Giordano there. Look at that Roger Stern story. And the Mike Mignola Man-Bat story. And a Walt Simonson pin-up at the back. What a great book. Very happy for just $8. Picked up this, a Marvel Preview Masters of Terror. This is issue 16 of Marvel Preview, featuring Huda Twist and Lilith, the Queen of the Dead. Unfortunately, I actually already had this, but didn't remember that I had this book in the collection. But nonetheless, high-grade copy. Beautiful Marvel magazine from the 70s, black and white art throughout. But just love picking these up whenever I get a chance. I love the black and white art in these. Absolutely fabulous stuff. And here there's a whole host of great stories, with a Steve Gerber story about Lilith, daughter of Dracula, with Gene Colan on art. Great stuff. Even though it's a duplicate, fantastic to be able to pick that up. And an awesome looking cover. So let's talk about these graded books that I managed to pick up. The first one was one I already have a copy of, but at a lower grade. But when this came across my booth, I couldn't turn it down. This is a CBCS 9.2 of Marvel Heroes issue 12 from December 1967. Story by Stan Lee and cover and art by Gene Colan. Features the first appearance and origin of Captain Marvel, Marr-vell, as well as the first appearance of Yon-Rogg and Una. Just a fabulous looking book. I think I will be cracking this one open and getting CGC to grade this one and see what we can get. We might even get a grade bump. I'll get it for a clean and press, but it presents beautifully. Very clean looking copy. So let's see how that turns out. All in all, pretty happy with that random purchase that just came across the stand from a customer looking to sell books. And then the other one of the graded books from that customer was this copy of X-Men 266 from August 1990, featuring the first full appearance of Gambit. Now, this one I picked up as a bit of a spec because I did check out the grader's notes and there seemed to be a couple of finger bends and non-color breaking creases that I think I'll be able to get out. So again, I'm going to try and crack this one out, give it a decent clean and press and see if we can bump that grade. I'm pretty confident given I can see a couple of those finger bends on that front cover, but the one that is really interesting me is there's a crease there which is not color breaking, which I think will press out very nicely. And again, I think this book has a real opportunity in the 9.6 at least, so we'll give it a go, see how we go. But ultimately still great to have a copy of Uncanny X-Men 266 and the first appearance of Gambit. In total for both those graded books, I paid 800 Australian dollars, so I think I've done okay when I checked the FMVs on both those books, and if they get a grade bump, I'll be in a fantastic position. So great to be able to pick those up and ultimately pay for it using the money I made from the comic sales on the day. So that's it. I really hope you enjoyed my guide to selling at a comic fair. I had a great time, sold a ton of books, talked to some awesome people, and made a nice chunk of change to put towards my next set of comics. Because let's be real, the collecting never stops. But how did I do this time around? Well, my total sales for the event were $1,640. So with the $80 fee for the tables, I made $1,560. That said, the books that I bought that day came in at $838, so my total profit for the day was $722. Not bad for 4 hours work. If you're on the fence about selling, my advice is just do it. It's a fantastic experience and hopefully these tips will help you out. Let me know in the comments down below if you've sold at an event like this and if you have any tips for selling that I might have missed. And with that, thanks as always for watching, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next issue. Don't forget to check out other great videos, as well as follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X. We also host a weekly live stream, the Merry Monday Mail Call Show, every Monday morning at 7:30 AM Australian Eastern Time. Enough said.